Hello, creative people. Welcome to Creative Conversations. My name is Hala Citron, and we are so happy that you have chosen to spend your time with us. I am owner and founder of I Am Creative and Express Yourself Publishing, and I am on a mission to expand the definition of creativity beyond a pencil and a paintbrush and to empower people, especially adults, to own their voices and talents that come in so many different forms. This space was created to talk to people with all different kinds of jobs, hobbies, and interests, and to have conversations about experiences and perspectives, all centered around three questions. How do you define creativity? How do you incorporate it into your life? And why do you think it's important? Then we have a free-flowing conversation and we see where it goes. So I have had the opportunity to speak to so many. I've spoken to musicians, comedians, doctor, lawyer, wrestlers, Reiki masters, and entrepreneurs as young as 13. And these conversations explore the reality that creativity is not cute, it is necessary. People have defined creativity as that magic spark, how we show up in our life, imagination, basically all that we are and want to be, do, or have. So I believe from my heart that sharing these stories gives one the ability to expand their thinking, open themselves up for more self-expression, to feel more empowered, connected, and dare I say, happy. So my inspiring guest for today is Radavie Riom. She is a spirit-based healer. She felt guided to leave behind an entrepreneurial business life to discover her life's calling. And through her self-healing, she recognized that her purpose is to assist others to break free from the code of human conditioning. Radavie supports others, as she did for herself, to live in inner peace in spite of their circumstances. In her practice, she has served over 3,000 clients internationally. Radavie, welcome to the space.
I'm so glad I got here.
I am
My
so
husband
glad.
couldn't help me either because he said, Rodney, I'm so sorry, I don't know about this. And he's pretty savvy. So anyway, I'm so glad we're here.
I am so happy you're here. So we'll just kind of take a breath before we dive in. So let's just take a deep breath in and be like, and breathe out. Because I know technology can be stressful and
I'm
learning
okay.
something learning something new, but
I know. I'm okay now. I'm okay, Hollis.
okay, wonderful. So then let's just dive right in with, before we get into the first official question, could you please share a fun fact with us about yourself?
A fun fact. I am definitely not a techie person. That's fun. And Holly, I really laugh at myself. I used to beat myself up. And then I stopped one day and I said, wait a minute. That's not my calling. It doesn't mean I can't learn it. But for right now, stop self-judgment. And I finally came to a place of peace with it and open, because when you come to a place of peace you're much more open to learn. So yeah, that's where I am.
So I'm just going to touch on this a little bit. I know we're going to go deeper into it, but how long did it take you to actually get to that point of peace? It's a big life lesson.
Well, I'm at a place of peace, but I'm talking about techie. You want to
Mhm.
know in other things why I when did I get to place of inner peace?
So to give like a general answer right now, we're going to dive into it more. But yeah, you said that you used to beat yourself up, but now you've gotten to a point where you can more so laugh at yourself
Oh
and
yes,
relieve more
yes.
self judgment. So
Yes, because I didn't know how. I'm online. I'm going into putting my business online, and I felt I need to know those things.
yeah,
And I realized, you know what? You know what it is you do to serve other people. You don't know about this right now. So just let it go. Take a deep breath and go back to the place of peace that you've always lived in. So that's what happened.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Appreciate that very much. And that really just goes right to the title that I gave this, which is Living in Inner Peace in Spite of Your Circumstances.
There you go. Yes.
There we go.
Yeah. And I didn't realize I forgot about that, but in spite of your circumstances, yes, that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we're going to dive into the first official question, and then we're going to kind of see, we're going to learn more about you. So, Radavie, how do you define creativity?
Creativity is outside the mind. It's in the world that is not yet seen. And so creativity is not yet known until someone opens up for it.
Ooh, so not yet known
Not
un-
yet known.
until someone opens up.
Yes. And one opens up in creativity in so many different ways. And, an artist, a singer, a musician, a healer.
Hmm.
And I remember little kids. Let's go back to when we were little children. And we had that curiosity about it. All children have this curiosity, but because they're outside of their five senses,
Mm,
they are playing and they're creating at the same time. So I would say that it comes from, when I say outside the mind, it comes from outside the five senses,
mm.
beyond the five senses.
I love that. The playing and creating at the same time, just the awareness of that
Yes, yes.
and the recognition of that. Yes, yes, yes. So, okay, so let's learn more about you. Now you refer to yourself as a spirit based healer. Could you please take us on a little bit of a ride of learning more about who you are, who you've been, and how you've gotten to where you are now?
Okay, so as a little girl, I was very withdrawn, and I use the word wounded because and I'm going to bring this to let people remember what it was like to be a child.
Hmm.
Innocent. We're so innocent. And we come here to just give love and open up to receive it back. But when you're
Hmm.
judged and when you're critiqued, that
Yeah.
innocence in you closes down. And you begin to have ideas about who you are based on what they said to you, the conditioning. And so we all have gone through that. And for me, it was very wounding because of my relationship with my mother was not a good thing. And without going into the details how that started, but very, very young, before I was even born.
Mm,
And yeah, and so time goes by, and in a mystical moment when I was in my late 30s, a mystical moment, I saw my little child in front of me, and I did not want to see her because I had detached myself from my childhood. And it took 3 weeks. I would yell at her and I said, just go away. I don't want to see you. And finally, after 3 weeks, this creativity, I probably use that, said, I need to connect with her. There was a moment that something came up beyond my thinking, beyond my thoughts. You need to connect with her. And so when I did, and the way it happened, which is very important for this to clear the wounds and the traumas, must connect the emotions to the memories. And I had
mm,
not done that. So I went through a lot of healing and a lot of and when when those began to unveil those wounds, I began to have a whole different way of seeing the world. And that's when I realized and I really understood about the human conditioning through my own personal experiences. So that's what took me to the understanding that my soul came in to do exactly what I did for myself, and that's the reason I came in to experience it that way. So,
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you for 1 minute because I just want to have a clearer understanding too. So, when you had this magical moment, this mystical moment, and this happened with your inner child and being able to see her and all of this, at this time, you did not know how to, uh, for lack of a better word right now, to say fix. You didn't know how to repair this yourself, correct? You had to go to other
no,
people,
no,
or
I
did
had no
you?
idea.
Yeah, yeah.
So what happened is I need to connect with her, and I didn't know how to do it. So in my outer circle, I have an spiritual circle, a little outer circle. I understand. I heard about this woman who did some different things other than massage. So I mean, she was the only person I knew who did something different. So I called her,
Hmm.
and I said, I want to connect my child with me. And she said, "Oh, that's one of the things I do." And I just gasped. I had no idea people did that. It's so funny. It's so funny. And so I went to her for one session. And that one session, because I was very, I was very intuitive. That one session, I realized the first thing that came up to her that she asked me what was the first thing I thought of. I realized that these things I had hidden inside of me were the problems, why I was so withdrawn. And I began to cry, and I realized I needed to get my emotions to my memories. And
Hmm.
I went home and did just that and went through a lot of healing.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So you said connect your emotions to your memories, which that's a big cleansing going on there.
It's very necessary because when
Yeah.
my clients come to me, there's something in my spirit that can easily touch them. And it's not that they're trying to cry. I guess who I am, I had to integrate all that or had to experience it for myself, that people will release their emotions.
Hmm.
And so it's deep, but it's very effective.
Yeah.
I know that after so many years of supporting clients, and yeah, it's a beautiful sacred journey to realize that the wounds that you carry is not about you. It's your innocence was being hurt. And once you unveil that, this is where you get back to who the journey to getting back to who you are and to live from inner peace.
Hmm. When you word it that way, that is a really interesting, beautiful way to word that. When you said that the wounds you're carrying are not about you, because
Yeah.
in human conditioning, of course, we think, well, it's all about me in a sense, like this happens
Yes.
because of this, or we can blame
Yes.
outside circumstances, but it often kind of comes back to us as being the core. But when you just worded it by saying it was your innocence being hurt, meaning, I guess, going back to childhood,
Yes.
it's acknowledging that and would you say coming to terms or repairing that?
Oh God, yes. I do soul retrieval with client because that aspect that is carrying the wounds is not the adult self, but the adult is going into a lot of mental confusion and a lot of stuff because that emotion that is unresolved is still being carried by the adult. So when they come to me, it's really easy because I brought in my own medicine back from my own past, and it's very easy for me to look under the hood. So I
Hmm.
take them into into they're going to take me actually. I just guide them and find the place where one of the deepest pain lies. And believe me, Hollis, when they get back there and the way in which I guide them and the memories comes, it's no longer the adults that's feeling it. They begin to see and they begin to have the memories and to see how what really happened to them because the adults cover it over and they have some opinion about it or maybe they don't remember or they don't
Yeah.
want to remember.
Mm.
Yes. And so to me it's one of the most beautiful moments that when a client can get back to this emotional memories and clear it. What happens after that is that the memory may still be there after the healing, but it doesn't carry the charge. And finally, it slowly, slowly fades away with many. It's no longer carry the importance in their lives.
Mm. Yes. Gosh, everybody don't isn't this what we want? I mean, I that word when you said it just kind of gave me goosebumps when you said it doesn't carry the charge,
It's really true.
meaning carry the importance. That's really powerful.
Yes. And the thing is too, Hollis, it's through my own personal experiences that I know and I understand how it works for other people because there's no difference between my emotions and someone else. The only difference is the story. What
Mm,
happened to them was different from me, but we carry all those emotions. And so it's really, you know, compassion. I have a compassion and a deep understanding when I see people who are even having bad behaviors or even distressed or easily upset about things or be afraid or concerned about what's going on in this crazy world now.
yeah.
It's a reflection of what is unresolved inside. So,
Let's find out a little bit more about I'm curious to learn more about you in this way and for the listeners to hear more. In when I read your bio, it said you felt guided to leave behind an entrepreneurial business life to discover to kind of go into this life's calling. What was that entrepreneurial business or businesses that you had prior to
okay.
this?
You know, I grew up in a mom and pop store shop,
Hmm.
and I had a calling. So when I was 6 years old, Hollis, I started to do business. We had I think it was a tomato tree. I'm 6,
Yeah.
and it would be full, and I would go with a container and pick them and sell them.
At 6 years old. And
Yes.
this wasn't your parents' business. This was you doing it on your own.
Oh, me doing it. Nobody told me.
Yeah.
So I had a calling in me to do that. And so I I began to have that feeling and then I got married and started the business that still goes on now today.
Hmm.
And it was a pharmacy and it did very well and still doing very well. I'm no longer part of it.
Hmm.
And so business became natural for me. And there was something else I created, can't remember. And then I'm not from the United States. I'm from another country. I'm from one of the islands. And so when I moved here, we had bought a business, a home for the elderly, and I would work in there, and I understood, and I that's the place where I got to have my heart and connect to the business. It's not about profit. It was about service. And they became like my children. I just really cared for these people. And that was another part of my soul's journey. So from that, I moved into doing helping people, serving people when they're not doing well, because all those elderly people, they needed a lot of attention.
Yeah. How old were you when you were in that space? I'm
When
curious
you mean
with the
elderly,
elderly. Yes, thank you. Sorry, my brain just
yeah,
went blah for a
that's
minute.
okay. I was in my late 30s.
Because the way you just said is you said they were your children. So I was
I
curious how
know,
old. Yeah.
because it's my heart. It was my heart that felt that compassion for them.
Mhm.
Even now, I'll see people, and I just feel that's one of my children. And I may have been down that many lifetimes, but I've met many people, many young people that I feel, that's my son, or that's my daughter.
Mhm.
So there's a mothering in me, Carlos. I think that's what it says.
Yeah.
There's a mothering in my heart.
Yes. So that would be different than being empathic, correct?
I'm very well. True. Absolutely, you're correct. Because my soul's blueprint has that mothering energy.
Mhm.
And also, in addition to that, I'm very empathic. In addition to that, unknown to me when I was a little girl, I was a highly sensitive person.
Yeah.
So I was feeling everything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. I just want to recap for a minute and welcome those that are here with us live. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. We're talking all creativity and defining it. My incredible guest, Radavie Riom, is we are finding out how she defines creativity and about her life journey. So I'm just kind of taking a breath for a minute because I want to, before we get into the second question, to even learn more about you. Let's touch on again on this topic, this title, in getting to the space of inner peace. How do you guide people when their circumstances may not seem so peaceful?
The reason, and I don't want people to feel that I'm criticizing them, but from my own years of experience and from my own personal experience, the reason why we are so concerned by what's going around us is because it's reflecting some unprocessed issues that we have. Now, when we get to a place of inner peace, I'm not saying we would not have a feeling, but it would not last. It would not take us to bed, and we would not wake up in the morning feeling the same thing. It's a human emotional feeling to feel disturbed, but it does not last.
Mhm.
That's a difference.
Mm. So it's this acknowledgement that
It,
I know it's going back, and in the longer term, it's going back and finding what those pinpoints, what those wounds are from the inner child. But
yes.
then it's also realizing that this too shall pass. Is that correct?
Yes, and you know, once a person goes through releasing some of those wounds, I think they begin to understand. It was very important to me that my clients would understand something beyond the healing. You know, it's like so. You see, this is the reason why you would look at these things like this. This is the reason why all those things have affected you in the way it did. And it's so important for me that they understand. And so once those some of those wounds are unveiled, people have a better grasp
Mhm.
on whatever is going around in their lives or out in the world. They really do. And they begin to learn and to understand that.
Yes. Oh, how freeing is that?
Yes. You know, I was thinking, I had a client and I worked with her. Oh, she was very wounded. She was from another country, and she was like a daughter to me. She even today she still calls me Mother Radavie,
Mhm.
and she went through a lot of deep healing, and she would tell me she would see people, meet people who she could see used to be like her, and she would have something wise to say to them to help them.
Mhm.
So when we heal ourselves, we are now there open to serving other people. It's a beautiful journey when we look at it like that.
Yes. God, isn't that amazing? It's so true. It's can completely relate that
Yes,
when you've gotten to that space of healing and that separation and that expansion, and then you see it in someone else, and then you're like, wow, okay.
yeah. Several people would tell me, "Oh my God, I just saw somebody who used to be like me." And I wanted to say also, we're all here on a soul's journey. And the soul is here to learn, grow, and evolve. But sometimes we're stuck in the learning. So we get trapped in the wounds. And then learning, we're here to learn and evolve. And so when we go through our healing, this is the next step. It's natural. An evolution starts to happen. And the beautiful thing is make if for us to get back to that circle of when we were first here as an innocent child.
Mm.
I mean, if we just remember what we are and who we are, we can see how passionate and it is, and how determined we could be to heal those, so we can get back to the innocence of ourselves. And I know that's true,
Oh,
and I
wow.
know we can.
Get back to the innocence.
Yes, it's the innocence that has been covered over and abused with unpleasant words. I have to call that abuse. That really hurts the essence of our being.
Hmm. It's so interesting because as you say that, I immediately, when people hear the word, I should speak for myself. When you hear the word innocence, you think childlike. And in adulting, in this process of adulting, we think that we don't want to be innocent. We want to, be known for something, or, however you want to word that. But with this idea of the way that you're saying it is so exactly true. It's getting back to the innocence. It's like within the creative process of, when I speak with, when I help clients to get out of their own way, it's exactly that. It's reconnecting with this play, with this
Yes, yes,
exploration, with this imagination, to get through all of this shoulds, woulds, and coulds.
Yes, and I mean, I can vouch for it, Hollis, because I'm really revealing myself. When I was a little girl, I was very withdrawn. I was sad. Sadness. I carried sadness for years. So there was no play. And now, I will giggle at simple little stuff. I will look at the flower and, my plants in the house, and I would touch it or speak to them because I know there's an energy there. I didn't know that before. So the beauty of unveiling those things, people don't understand how much coming back to your innocence creates such happiness and peace. It really does.
Oh my gosh, the way you just said that, really in giggling at unveiling the beauty.
Yes,
God, that statement, I mean,
yes,
everybody, it's within every moment, it's all around us. Visuals, auditory, sensory, it's everything.
everything. And that's when we start to look at nature in a whole different way. I think we could begin to feel the aliveness in life, in nature, in rocks, in trees, or some people may not have that earthy thing, but they could see it in the cosmos, they could see it in the stars, that everything is alive.
Yeah. Yes.
And life becomes so beautiful, magical at that point.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to keep saying this, everybody. I don't know how many times I've said it already.
That's
It's
fine.
just, it does. Here, hold on. I have a sound effect for this. I want to give the magic spell. It
Mhm. Oh, beautiful.
just feels like that.
Beautiful.
Okay, so let's learn some more about you, Miss Radavie. So the second question is, how do you incorporate more creativity into your own life?
I am giggling, okay, because it has nothing to do with the five senses. You've got to get back to that consciousness. People talk about the sixth sense. Doesn't mean you have to be a psychic, you don't have to be a reader. It's about heart space, your divine heart space. And um, I lovingly said, I'm good at improvising. So improvising is another form of creativity. And I've always felt, oh, I love to improvise. Okay, tell me what we need, and I can find something. So that's another form of creativity.
Yeah.
And we may sit in that moment of meditation or silence with the heart open, and something could come through. Some thought, and thought, oh my God, I've never thought of that before. That's creativity. So all of us have that opportunity to be creative. Creativity to me, it's not a learned. It's not something you've learned in school.
No.
It's something that comes through you. Yeah.
So, okay, so you love nature. From what I've gathered, you
Yes.
have a deep appreciation for nature and your surroundings. Do you enjoy music? Do you enjoy traveling? Do you enjoy, what are some different ways that you engage and feel expressive?
It's funny, I'm laughing now because I commonly tell my husband, I'm really a cheap date because you just take me on some road somewhere around here that I've never been before, and I'm just into that place of looking and finding this beauty in these new things I haven't seen. So Hollis, I take it now that I'm speaking, it's just a simple heart. If we just get back into the simple heart And it doesn't mean you're stupid. It means you don't let your mind or your mental intelligence take you over.
Mhm.
Simple heart. And I love to travel, and I've gone to many places, and I've had many mystical experiences, which is really, really fascinating.
Oh,
You
we
know,
have to share. You have to share something on that now. Can't just leave that out there.
okay, all right. So, um, we went to I went to camp was it camping, yeah, little play. And so my partner at the time came because he wants to go to a class about making herbs and so on. And so everybody's gone, and I just walked around it's a small campground. Just want to look, there are no houses to look at, so I'm going to look at the campsites. And I went around a corner, and there was a huge rock
Mhm.
to speak to me. And it was really light, funny. It was funny. And it tells me what the rocks are here to do and how they serve. And it told me, go further back down the area. I'm going to find a rock. That's
Mhm.
different. I would go find a rock. And I found the rock, a small rock that was a different color from anything else. So that's just one small item. And
So wait a minute.
I,
I know I'm interrupting you, and I apologize, but of
no, no,
course,
no, that's fine.
there was a all of a sudden it went that we couldn't hear you for a second when you said the rock. I kind of filled
Oh,
in and said that the rock kind of like you had a the rock spoke to you. Is that what you said?
yes, yes,
Okay. Okay.
yes.
Hmm.
So the rock speaks to me, and then go to Guatemala. Oh my God, I love that place because I'm very indigenous in my spirit. And I wasn't feeling well, and I would just go up and look at the mountains, and they would talk to me. They'll tell me it's not anything I ate, I'm just going through a cleansing. And they would tell me more things, and they would call me Spirit Woman. And so I have those kind of experiences in different ways, and going to Peru and remembering a lifetime I had there, which was very deep. And there's so many things that spirit guides me. So it comes from that spaciousness within. And even now, I get little knowingness, and that's creativity.
Hmm.
My tree speaks to me. And when our cat passed, it gave me information, and I had to go download, and I had to go write it down quickly before I forget. And so those are some of the things that happen with me.
Thank you for sharing that. And I just want to I want to give a little bit more clarity because I know that there's going to be people listening that are going to be like, "What do you mean that the trees or the rocks speak to you?" So, I just want to get from you from your because I get it. I understand. But
Totally.
what is that giving a little bit more clarity? How does that translate to you? How is
Okay.
that done?
Right. Consciousness, which I call the divine or God, is the creator of all things. And the Native Americans know about spirit in the trees. I have that clear feeling. The trees have a spirit, the rocks have a spirit. What it means to me is that everything that here has an aliveness.
Mhm.
An aliveness is very different from the human way of seeing things. We're not any better or bigger than some of those things that we look at that we don't understand. We just think they don't have a consciousness in them.
Yeah.
And so I'm very respectful of all living things like that. And that to me is part of nature. So I have a beautiful tree that I call Shiva tree, and sometimes it sometimes it talks to me.
Hmm.
So I live, in nature, around nature, with lots of nature. So I'm very, very grateful for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, and the mountains, everything. I would really like the listeners to understand that everything in nature and everything around us is an energy. Has an energy. It just shows up different in us as human beings, and there's an aliveness in all things. And
Yeah.
so, yeah,
It really is that I found for me that uh, that inner peace, being
yes,
in touch with that inner peace, really uh, leaves space for that realization and recognition of the aliveness and the
yeah,
moving at a slower pace and appreciation and just really being, I guess it just boils down to being present.
that's beautiful. Yes, and when we get to that place, I really ask people to look at how much we can serve the collective. People are going through so much now.
Yeah.
So much is happening. Oh my heavens.
Yeah.
And I can't do anything about it more than to open my heart. I've got to let my heart and feel the compassion for people who are really suffering in a very deep way. So um let's use our inner peace or feeling good to support others.
I kind of feel like I have to stress, though, and I would love to hear your thoughts because I know for me, being very empathic and very compassionate, that there needs to be some kind of boundaries as well because you can get completely drained. I can get completely drained by leaving my heart so open. Um,
Okay. Well, here is the thing, because I've gone through those stages. I know what you're talking about.
mhm,
But when we stay in neutrality, Hollis, what do I mean by neutrality?
mm,
That is a sense of beingness, presence. We're neither walking into the dark side nor the light side. Our heart is wide open in neutrality. From there, sympathy no does not exist.
that's
Compassionate
beautiful.
does.
I love
Compassion,
that. Mm,
yes. And that's how I can handle it, Hollis. That's how I can handle it.
mm,
The other night I got very unusual though, very unusual. I went to bed crying because I could feel it, and it wasn't. I was still in that neutrality because I could not find anger or blame for anybody who's causing pain to other people. I couldn't find it.
hmm.
So I was in the deepest compassion and love, and that was very uncomfortable, I have to say.
So this is beautiful. I mean, everybody, for listeners that are listening to the replay, I mean, if you are intrigued but yet confused or like, what does that mean? When we get to the end, this is where Radavie, of course, is going to tell you how to connect with her. Um, but these are just such. This is true living. What you're saying.
Yeah.
Um, this is truly being alive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm being called to say something more
Mhm.
about what we really are, all of us, all the listeners, every human being, everything. Um, Because the book that I'm writing, as you know, Hollis, about it,
Mhm.
it's not, it's because it's a book with messages to remind people that they are not wounded children. They are not the believed self, the identification is not their name and their biological self or what they learned in school.
Mhm.
Nothing is wrong with learning in school, but how to organize respecting the sacred temple or body, but really knowing and believing that this is not what I am. The sacred temple houses our soul, and that divine essence, they told me in the messages, are divine sparks. And all of you who are listening, we are one from the everlasting love of of the divine, the divine God. I like to use the word God because
Mhm.
that's how I remembered it when I was 4. So we're all from that infinite love.
Mhm.
And we're not, so when we suffer, what's happening is the mind and the experiences and the belief we have that's causing the suffering.
Mhm.
We we are we are experiencing suffering. We are not the ones that is suffering. We're experiencing suffering. And once we really start to realize we may not know how to get there, how to be live as our divine self, but my heavens, I want you to know that you are that divine self. And if
Gosh, yes.
you, yes.
Whew. So, do you have any kind of a morning routine?
When I wake in the morning, it's really so simple. I'm so grateful for another day. And then I get out of bed and I go sit quietly by myself. And I look around and I said, and it's like a little prayer from my heart. And I just give thanks for another day to express more love or to be a better person. And I will say many times, Father or God, use me in the way you would like to use me today. And I think that's a very beautiful thing because we're opening our heart to say the word. My mind is not in charge. Something else is in charge. So
Mm.
that's what I do in the mornings.
Mm.
And at nights, I before I close my eyes, I said, I give thanks for the day and maybe some little things that I may never may I could have overlooked that happened.
Mhm.
I'll just give thanks for that. It could be a nice smile from someone, and that
Mm.
touches, it warms the heart.
Does.
So we find things that warms our heart. Then there's a lot of stuff that warms the heart that we overlook. If we
Yes.
start, yeah,
Yes, we overlook a lot.
yes, we do. The mind takes over.
It does. It does, it truly does. It takes over and, like you said, which I really appreciate that word, veiled.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Another word we could use is that there's a mask of identification that is
Mhm.
covering the true nature of us, of who we are.
Mhm.
And that's a message is that I got for the book. Oh my God, we're locked away, and they have different words for that, and so we're feeling the emotional pain of humanity while we're locked away. So anyway, um, the the veils or the masks That's not who we are.
Yeah. Whew. So as we're getting to the top of the hour, which is crazy how it always goes this fast,
Yeah.
the third and final question kind of wraps everything up and puts a nice little bow on it, which is, why do you think creativity is important?
It takes us out of our mental state and more into the inner world within, because the language only expresses what has come up through creativity. It doesn't come from the mind, or the mind is creating. Creativity comes from somewhere else, from the unknown. I
Hmm.
call it, life is a mystery. It unveils itself. And Hollis, for you, you may find sometimes you're speaking, having a conversation, and something comes through you that bypasses the mind. I'm sure that has happened with you too. And so that is again something being birthed that was never birthed before through you.
Yeah.
That's another form of creativity,
Oh my.
expression.
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's being open. It's when where there's such a difference when you're caught in that head space and the heart space. So is
Yes.
everything that we're talking about what in the terms that I can speak very clearly on is when you're stuck in your head, that's where I say the gripping happens, where the tightness, where things aren't coming through. That's when we're like, oh my God, I'm so confused. I don't know what's happening. I can't think. There's frustration, panic, or just different lower vibration feelings that often happen with that. Or it can be kind of a neutral of like, I have no idea. I can't, I can't think of anything.
I like
But
that
it,
word gripping. Yeah, it's a clenching. Oh yeah.
yeah, it's like that physical clenching. But when you're actually like in this heart space of being more open and being in whatever action form of expression that it is, whether you're speaking, whether you're creating something through music, visual arts, cooking, you're through science, business, whatever it is, you're coming from that heart space, then there's that openness which allows the flow and you're not fighting upstream, you're allowing, and that's when these things come in and they're birthed. You're like, whoa.
That's
Sometimes
it.
we're really aware of it and sometimes we're not. We're not so aware that we're like, oh my God, did you realize that? But we just allowed.
Yes, it is funny you talk about cooking. I commonly say I channel food because I go in the kitchen. I know I don't want to do one thing, and I don't know how I'm going to do. It's like I'm hearing what other things, like I'm channeling. The creativity comes through like that too.
Mm.
That's a creative way of getting a feeling, getting a knowing, or some ideas that comes. It's pretty. It's a great way to live, don't you think, Hollis?
It's it really is when you can really let go,
Yeah,
let go and let flow.
yeah.
But just truly be in that space where it feels so much better for me. I can say it feels so much better on my nervous system
Hmm.
because I'm not overthinking. I'm not stuck in that kind of how space.
Yes,
Uh,
that's
but
right.
it's that allowing space and that present space. And I really love how you brought up that space of neutrality. I'm really going to think of that more. Thank you for that awareness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We were literally driving. It was my husband was driving. I was in the passenger seat. My daughter was in the back. And yesterday, I just there was a groundhog that was hit by a car in front of us, and it wasn't. It was still alive, and it was struggling. And
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, "Oh my god!" Like I wanted to be sick. Like
Mm-hmm.
we drove around it, and I'm like, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!" And my daughter's like, "What happened? What happened? What happened?" I'm like, "My body hurts." I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
what do we
Yeah,
do?
yeah.
What do we do? What do we do? And even like that feeling something to that intensity, and I know everybody that life happens and we do feel things and emotions are good to feel, but in that case it felt really horrible and I kind of kept feeling it throughout the day.
Well, they're also in the energy field that we are. That's what it is, We're feeling the consciousness in them that is in us too.
Yeah.
There's a real connection.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, not to be a downer on that, so but here we go. As we are already at the top of the hour, which is, like I said, crazy, can you please tell everybody how they can connect with you?
Sure. I don't know if this is a talk thing. So my website is really simple. Can they see my name, Hollis?
Well,
Can you see?
I'm gonna put everything in the show notes,
Oh, okay.
when it's
All right.
uploaded, so yeah.
Okay. So on my website, radavie.net, I offer a complimentary 20 minutes. Anybody. I'm not about trying to get you to work with me. I'm very devoted to helping people. Find that I can be of assistance to you further, I am available for that. And in addition to that, I have on my website a free what do I call it? A free thing. It's on at the head of it. It's in a color free. But I'm offering a meditation. It's a long thing. Maybe it's about 15 minutes long. And one part is it's a video, a video, and the next part is a meditation because it's explaining where in our chakras, the three lower chakras, how many of us are trapped there, because that's the beginning of our the beginning of our conditioning, and talked about the importance of clearing it, and then I help you to clear it. So
Mm,
that's a really nice gift,
that's an incredible gift.
a major big gift.
Yes, very generous. So, is that the main space that people should connect with you through your website, or, are there
Yes, because
socials?
yes, on my website,
Okay,
they'll see where they can have the 20-minute complimentary, and then they'll see that. And I'm also on LinkedIn, if or on Facebook.
okay, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect. So before we say our goodbyes, is there anything else that's top of mind for you or something you feel like you want to say?
I I want to say that, you know, we're not here to continue suffering. We're here to learn, grow, and evolve. And believe me, if I did it, trust me, you can too. And I hold a space to support you because I've stopped judging people for it. So please don't judge yourself.
Mm,
It's just conditioning that's causing you stuck. So um, be good to yourself and know that you are part of the divine. You're just never alone.
yeah,
So
I love that. And here's some sound effects for the cheering section that's coming for you and from you for everywhere. Yes. Please remember, everybody, that you have a cheering section.
lovely. That is
so,
really lovely.
so Radvi, thank you so much for spending this hour with us. Really appreciate
It
you.
was wonderful to hang out with you and your listeners.
So, thank you. And those here with us live and those catching the replay, we know that you could be doing anything with your hour, and we so appreciate you spending it with us. This space is all about connecting, inspiring each other, and sharing stories. I believe we've always needed this, but I think we need it now more than ever. more than
Absolutely.
ever. So please like, follow, share, all of that good stuff so we can really spread the word out to people to be able to uplift and create more connections and have people know that they are not alone. So, that being said, wherever you are listening from, I wish you a good morning, a good afternoon, and a good evening, and look forward to speaking again soon. So, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Feeling inspired? Let's just get rid of this, throw away this whole perfectionism thing, this whole concept that we have to know how to do everything. You know what? You don't. Let's just do things and try things and realize what we like and what we don't like. It's all part of the process. The self-awareness feels so good. You feel more connection to yourself, connection to others, and be a happier, more joyful person. Just imagine that. So you are where you are in the process. So you can dip your toe in the water to try new things at a slower pace, or you can dive right in. Here at I Am Creative and Express Yourself Publishing, we meet you where you are. So there are so many ways to check us out. Explore our experiential kits. They have everything in them that you need to try new things. You don't have to buy anything else but this kit and just explore. There's Creative Shui, which is 7 elements to joy and happiness. Through the publishing house, Express Yourself Publishing, multi-author books, coffee books, solo book opportunities. It is all about expression, all about it. And it's, again, just trying these things and realizing what you're good at. Don't all of a sudden think that you only fit into one box, because we don't. We are not made for boxes. There is also my TV show, I Am Creative. Check it out. The links are all in the body of this podcast. You can just click the link. And you know what? Don't say, oh, maybe I'll check it out tomorrow. Life's too short. Just click it. See what it's about. There is honestly no judgment. It's all about exploring the possibilities, expressing yourself, and expanding your thinking. I will give you the website, which is iamcreativephilly.com. So I am Creative Philly, PHILLY.com. And just remember that you are an expressive being, so own it. I am looking forward to hearing your story, because we all have one.